We have got a new spin-off coming from the Whoniverse, a brand new show. What happens when the Doctor isn't in town? That's what these shows are about. How does the world cope? And so we've got a 5-part spin-off coming called The War Between the Land and the Sea, which is the story of the Sea Devils from Doctor Who, which were creatures from 1972. There's a race that lives beneath the oceans. They wake up and they see the state of the oceans that we have put it in. We have wrecked the place, and it is war.
This is obviously something we've been talking about for a while. It's been speculated for a while now, and we've known some details about it, but nothing was ever officially announced until San Diego Comic-Con. What we already knew about it was going to be something to do with the Sea Devils. We obviously knew the title, The War Between the Land and the Sea, although some people had speculated, including myself, that it could have just been a placeholder title, but we now know that is the official title. We knew it was going to be 5 episodes long, and we knew it was going to be directed by Dylan Holmes Williams, who directed 73 Yards and Dot and Bubble. But we now have a few more details about the kind of plot / synopsis of this spin-off, and also some more casting information about this spin-off. And we also know as well that not only is it going to be written by Russell T Davies, it's also going to be co-written by Pete McTeague, who's written a few episodes for Doctor Who in the past. I think it was Kablam and Praxius, and he's also written some of like the box set stuff and some Tales of the TARDIS and stuff like that. Okay, so here we have the official press release from the Doctor Who website about the spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea. So I'm just going to kind of go through this and add some extra stuff that we know about it as I go through. So the main headline is Russell Tovey and Gugu Mbatha-Raw are leading this spin-off alongside Gemma Redgrave, obviously as Kate Stewart, and Alexander Devrient, who is Colonel Ibrahim, who's shown up since the 60th anniversary specials and was in like the finale of Doctor Who season 1 and stuff like that. So obviously there's going to be a big focus on the unit team here. So it's basically, I assume, going to be the unit team against the Sea Devils pretty much. They did confirm at the panel that Russell Tovey and Gugu Mbatha-Raw are not playing the characters they've played before.
They have both been in Doctor Who before. They're not playing the same parts. This is not Midshipman Frame teaming up with Tish Jones.
Obviously, Russell Tovey was Alonzo Frame in Voyage of the Damned, just kind of a one-off character. He did appear again at the end of Time Part 2, I believe, before the Doctor regenerates, but he's not going to be playing that character again. And Gugu Mbatha-Raw was also obviously Tish Jones, Martha Jones's sister previously, but like I said, Russell confirmed at the panel that these two actors are both going to be playing brand new characters for this show. I'd assume they would be playing other unit agents, and I believe they're the leads of this show, so that would make sense. But I've seen some people speculating that they could be playing Sea Devils, although I'm not entirely sure. Like, one or two of them could be playing Sea Devils, but I'm not entirely sure how likely that is, because I don't know if you'd cast these two actors and then put them under a load of prosthetics, especially if there's not a new redesign for the Sea Devils, because you're not going to be able to see the actors' faces under there if that's the case. But it's still entirely possible. So it also goes on to state that this is also going to be on Disney Plus, so it's not going to be like Tales of the TARDIS or Unleashed, where it's region locked to the UK, basically just being on the iPlayer. It's going to be like the main show itself, where it goes on BBC for the UK, and everywhere else it goes on Disney Plus, which is good to see, because it means it's just a lot bigger than some of the other smaller spin-offs we've had so far for the new era for the Whoniverse. This is like the first proper Whoniverse spin-off, basically. Like I said, it's going to be showrun and executive produced by Russell T Davies, and it's going to be written alongside Pete McTeague. And obviously, like I said as well, we know it's going to be a 5-part series, which I assume basically means it's going to be more like a mini-series, a one-off mini-series, I'd assume, instead of just like the new kind of Torchwood or Class type thing. Well, Class was only one series as well, but it was meant to be more, obviously. So I assume it's just going to be like a one-off mini-series, not like a new sort of unit spin-off where there's a new story every week or something like that. I assume it's going to be one self-contained story, basically, in 5 parts. And so there's a little bit of a synopsis here that says, when a fearsome and ancient species emerges from the ocean, dramatically revealing themselves to humanity, an international crisis is triggered. With the entire population at risk, units step into action as the land and sea wage war. With Russell T Davies saying, "I'm so lucky to work with such a magnificent cast, and this is a huge, muscular, thrilling drama which will shake the Whoniverse to its foundations. When the Doctor is not in town, the whole of humanity is in trouble." And obviously, Russell confirmed it was the Sea Devils at the panel.
Which is the story of the Sea Devils from Doctor Who, which were creatures from 1972. There's a race that lives beneath the oceans.
First of all, we know, like, it's basically going to be the Sea Devils wake up and kind of realise how badly the human race has been treating the ocean, pretty much. I'm guessing, like, with polluting it and stuff like that.
They wake up and they see the state of the oceans that we have put it in. We have wrecked the place, and it is war.
Which definitely makes sense with Pete McTeague writing. If you think back to his other episodes of Doctor Who, especially Praxius, that's definitely very in character, I guess, for his kind of writing. So I assume they're going to wake up and be very angry at that, and UNIT's going to have to deal with it. But it also mentions that this is kind of what UNIT is like when the Doctor isn't in town.
What happens when the Doctor isn't in town? That's what these shows are about. How does the world cope?
Which could kind of just mean like the Doctor's off busy doing his own adventures. But if you think back to 73 Yards, there is of course the line, the war between the land and the sea.
The war between the land and the sea.
Which to me suggests there's going to be some sort of connection between this spin-off and 73 Yards. Not anything in terms of like answering the questions from 73 Yards or anything like that, but because of that connection there and the fact that it says the Doctor's not in town, I immediately thought and speculated that this could mean that this show, this mini-series, takes place in that alternate timeline where the Doctor isn't around in 73 Yards, especially when there's that one line with Kate Stewart in 73 Yards talking to Ruby about how they get on basically through the skin of their teeth without the Doctor being there.
Well, that's classified. I think I can say skin of our teeth.
I'm assuming this could be one of those adventures that she's referring to, one of those crises that she's referring to in that moment with Ruby. That's just my personal speculation. It could just be, you know, in the main timeline and it's just that the Doctor's busy doing something else. That's entirely possible, and that's what I would have thought if it weren't for that connection to 73 Yards, but I do feel like there's a strong possibility this could be sort of in the 73 Yards timeline where the Doctor basically doesn't exist. So let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Obviously, the reason this was announced at San Diego Comic-Con is because it's meant to be filming, I believe, next month, or it might have been September. So that's obviously going to be happening very soon. So I guess they just took this opportunity, being at Comic-Con, to announce it before they start filming publicly and stuff like that, instead of just kind of putting a press release out before filming begins like they've been doing previously. And them filming it very soon, to me, suggests that it's probably going to be released in between Doctor Who Season 2 and 3. So it'll probably be airing some point late next year or something like that, I'd assume. But that's just speculation on my part. I think that's pretty much everything I need to say about the war between the land and the sea. I'm glad it's finally been officially announced and we don't have to speculate about it much longer. There's obviously still some things that people were hoping for with this. There was all that rumour about Martha Jones returning and maybe even Eve Miles, which I think is less likely now that we've had the official cast, but obviously there's going to be more cast members. But I think a lot of people assumed that Martha Jones and maybe Eve Miles as Gwen Cooper were going to be kind of the two leads in the UNIT team for this, which the casting of Russell Tovey and Gugu and Mbatha Raw kind of suggests that that's not the case anymore. So either that leak was wrong, or maybe they're just going to show up in a smaller capacity, a cameo role, something like that. But I think the chances are probably that leak was just made up. But let me know what you think about that in the comments down below.